Hello, this is Dave Meserve with Volunteers of America, Colorado, here to help give us a spiritual pep talk for Advent week number 1. And as I sit here in my home office, I just realized that my head is kind of enshrined with a halo. Don't read into that too much, but this is a painting actually my mother did. I think it's awesome. So you have that to look at if you don't want to look at this. So we're going to practice Advent together, and you had to have kind of the right mindset and 2 resources is what we're going to recommend. Now, the mindset is this: Advent is a time for preparation. That's what it is. Like any spiritual practice, we are preparing our hearts to make Him room, as the song goes. It is preparing ourselves to make space for God, and that's all we're going to do for Advent. And we're going to encourage you that each week, whether it's on a Sunday or any time, that you carve out a little intentional time to make space for God and ask Him to come and be part of your life as you're trying to figure out how to be part of His. Now, the 2 resources we have, well, the first and most important is the Bible. And we are going to be looking at just 2 chapters in 2 different books. We'll tell you about that. Now, if you don't have a Bible or can't find it, these are online. Just go online, and they're everywhere. The other thing is our Advent guide that we're looking for, that we're going to look through together. Now, the Advent Guide is very simple. It's got a theme of sacred places, and it begins with an introduction. And I hope you read that as soon as you get it, and that will help kind of set the tone. And then each week there's a different metaphor that describes a sacred place in the nativity story and as a metaphor for our own lives. Now, most of them are actual geography. The first one's a little bit unique, and that's where we're going to start. So the first week, you're going to read about the road. The road, which is a great metaphor for life. Because the Christian faith, as you realize, is not just about arrival. In fact, it's really not about arrival as much as it's about the journey and the journey together. So that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to encourage you to do is read through this in a sitting. And if you're with someone, you maybe read it out loud. I think it's kind of better that way. And it will give you some ideas around this theme. Now, this one, by the way, was written by my friend Mike, who is the founder of a church with the greatest name of any church I've ever heard, Scum of the Earth Church. And yeah, that's a real thing, and it's from the Bible. So you're going to read what Mike has to write about the road, and he's really going to emphasize on why God might move you from one thing to another. Now, metaphorically, we're on roads all the time. You may be in a road moment right now. It could be between physical locations, often between careers or relationships, or maybe you're just kind of in the middle of a conversation with someone that's important that hasn't finished, or even a conversation you might be having with yourself or with God. So we're going to use the road as a metaphor for your life, and we're going to begin in the nativity story, and there's 3 questions at the end, and the first one's about the nativity story. Now, the most important thing, whether you've done this and know the story really well or not, is to go to your Bibles online or in print and read the story. It's just 4 chapters. So chapters 1 and 2 of the Gospel of Matthew, the first book of the New Testament, and chapters 1 and 2 of the book of Luke, which is the 3rd book in the New Testament. So if you read those each week, that'll be the most important thing you can do. And then all we do in the guide is just kind of use that as a way to help you think a little bit more intentionally about some metaphors in there. So you're going to start with that, and the most important road moment in the nativity story is, one of the most important is Mary and Joseph leaving Nazareth because they have to go to Bethlehem because of the Romans, and you'll have to read about that. Now, the question is what God is doing with them by sending them on this journey, and really that's what we want to try to understand and listen and hear, what God is trying to teach us on the road, and what God is trying to teach us and show us about Himself by the very fact that He's asking us to leave something and go somewhere else. So that's really the gist of it. There's a question also at the end where you get to think about road trips that you've taken on as a family, and that's great if you have kids in the home. They can answer that question as well. And of course, maybe the most important question is kind of the metaphorical one about the roads that you're going through or have gone through, and what God has taught you or is teaching you. So that's it, week 1, and we'll come back next week and do this again. And the last thing I want to tell you, and one of the most important parts of this is to treat this as a spiritual practice, is simply to invite God to be part of it. He's going to be, but invite Him. And since we're trying to make Him room, just say, Jesus, come be part of this with me. I'm open to you, or I want to be open to you. So simply pray that. I mean, you can do that silently. And I think it's kind of cool when you do it out loud, even if you're by yourself. So say your prayers, read your guide, read your Bibles, and we'll come back next week and see what God's starting to do. All right, have a great week and a great Thanksgiving if you get to this before Thursday. Bye.